This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro Insight for the week of August 12th, 2024. This week has three big themes woven together. It may be difficult to separate them as they're actually playing out, but I am going to delineate them all the same. One of the big themes involves Mercury. Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Virgo as the week starts. And this week, Mercury returns to three important meetings that he had in July. Information may come to light. Circumstances may present themselves to re-examine or revisit or reorganize or redo something that happened between July 21st and July 26th. And we're going through these contacts in reverse order. On the 14th, an adjustment comes from a deep revelation, from an uncomfortable realization or conversation, as Mercury in conjuncts Pluto, which it did with Mercury direct on July 26th. And then Mercury scoots back into the sign of Leo. So it leaves the grounded, detail-oriented terrain of Virgo and heads into me, more high drama, more self-expressive for the remainder of its time in this retrograde, which continues until August 28th. Another adjustment then comes, perhaps because of information we get, perhaps because of a realization or a thought that we have that has something to do with a way that we fooled ourselves or have been lied to or have engaged in magical thinking, which harkens back to the same aspect, Mercury in conjunct Neptune, which happened when Mercury was direct on July 25th. And then on the 18th, there is a shocking piece of news. There's something that blows our perspective open. More to the story comes in a way that maybe knocks us upside the head, hearkening back to Mercury's square to Uranus on July 21st, which was the Capricorn full moon, which was a day when a lot happened. That was the day that President Biden announced that he was suspending his campaign for the presidency and then also endorsed Kamala Harris as his successor. And I'm sure if you look around, there were several other really big things that happened that day. This aspect also coincided with the CrowdStrike outage that took computer networks out across the globe. So we could have another round of problems or get information about what went down in July. And this aspect is returning on the eve of the Democratic National Convention. So there is going to be some connection to political developments of July 21st, as well as to whatever is going on in your own life. But we'll have a lot more clarity at the end of the weekend when Mercury makes this second square to Uranus, because Mercury then immediately meets the sun, which gives us clarity. We know our own mind. We know our own thinking. We know where we stand on something. And perhaps we understand what it means for us personally. So I encourage you to think about what was going on in your life from the 21st to the 26th and look at developments, information, new thinking, opportunities to revisit that come up this week in relation to that. So we get some immediate do-overs and mores and mores to the story. Now, that's one big thread through the week. The second one is whipping up information, whipping up talk. So all of this activity is not going to happen discreetly and quietly. There will be a tremendous furor because Mars, planet of action, fieriness, pushing things forward, meets with Jupiter on the 14th. There's forceful communication. There's huge expansion of thoughts and talk and agendas. It's like we're in a wind tunnel. It may be hard to hear your own thoughts. So this is going to be whipping things up while you're walking backwards, at least in the information zone. So it could be a bit challenging to actually identify some of these revisiting moments or more to the story moments that I've already outlined. Mars is laying the groundwork for a clash between Jupiter and Saturn happening next week, or rather, he's setting it in motion early because Mars conjunct Jupiter on the 14th, very quickly by the 16th moves into Mars, still close to Jupiter, squaring Saturn. Mars hitting a wall. Something happening that frustrates the noise, that frustrates the activity, that contains it, that pulls it back. You may have a very sudden burst of ideas, of talk, of communication. You may feel like you're running in 50 zillion directions all at once, but within a couple of days, something will happen to rein it in, to say, whoa, no, you don't have to do 15 things, maybe do 4, maybe do 5. Focus on this. It's a push-pull. It has a foot on the accelerator, foot on the brake feeling to it. I think the brake is going to win out. And again, this is setting the stage for an exact clash between Jupiter and Saturn on Monday. The first signs of what that is going to mean will come during this week. This is the first of 3 squares that Jupiter and Saturn are going to have. The first 2 happen with them in the mutable signs of Gemini and Pisces, one exact next week, one exact on Christmas Eve, one exact well into next year when they are both in other signs. The third thing that happens during all of this is an opportunity to pull stuff out of the shadows, an opportunity to combine your instinctive knowing with a force that is greater than you. It could be a huge upsurge in simply knowing, in simply sensing, in being what you might be able to describe as nothing more than being incredibly psychic. It's knowing the undercurrents, sensing the undercurrents, being able to see around a corner, being able to ask for help and then having it show up in some weirdly magical way, if you will simply notice. And this is from a sextile or an opportunity aspect between Neptune and Pluto on the 16th. So, upshot is a lot of noise, a lot of activity, a huge upsurge in conversation and information and stuff coming at you from all kinds of directions, and then something containing it, saying no, a wall, oh my God, putting the brakes on, like I cannot do 15 things at once, all the while having situations, bits of information, opportunities pop up that are recalling things that you experienced or maybe let go by you in July 21st through 26th, remember, are the operative days, and having a navigational tool in this that is not at all logical, That Neptune sextile Pluto says go on guidance, throw it up to a higher power, whatever label you want to put on it. Your mind isn't going to get you through this. Your mind's going to have a lot to do this week, but logic is not how you navigate it. And then by the end of the weekend, you make peace with your mind, you make peace with your thinking, you get a sense of understanding in the midst of what might be still a lot of chaos out in the world, which is all a buildup to the most complex day of the month, which is Monday the 19th. Lots about that in the next Astro Insight. Homing thought of the week: take another look. Song of the week: the ending of the Beatles song A Day in the Life, when the orchestra gets louder and more intense and more intense and more intense and more intense, and the final chord will not really hit until Monday the 19th. And the image of the week is a wind tunnel. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. Visit my site, empowermentunlimited.net, to sign up for my mailing list and get a Jupiter in Gemini quick reference guide as a download thank you for subscribing. Listen to my weekly podcast and book a session with me. I have lots of bonus content at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, including a long analysis of the Jupiter-Saturn square, and I am really grateful to the people who support my work there. This week, I am doing a political astrology Spirit Talk podcast with Annette Dion on her YouTube channel, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio and TV on the first and third Monday of every month at 5 p.m. Eastern. I also host lively conversation on Facebook, on the page Empowerment Unlimited, and in the group The Astro Insight Lounge. I post on Instagram and Threads at K.A. Biehl, and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian channel. Talk to you next week.